Welcome to Sister Scoop, where we are coming at you guys with the top 3 Marvel news topics of the week. The first one's a little bit of sad news, which is also shocking because I think about 2 months ago we covered this in the opposite direction. Wonder Man Season 2 has been canceled.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were shocked by this, not only because they had already greenlit it, but it's a widely considered positively received film. I mean, there are Emmy nominated show. There are Emmy nominations tied to the show as well. So a lot of people are really shocked. A lot of disappointment as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really too much to say about it. They didn't really give too much of a reason as to why they're not moving forward with it. It kind of just was scrapped for now. I mean, I think we could say from our end, something we talked about when they did announce it was we were kind of unsure about the timing. Just with everything going on, we were just like, this should be interesting to see kind of how they handle season 2, considering, we do have Doomsday and Secret Wars coming at us pretty quickly. So, it's sad because we really enjoyed the show. And I'd like to see that maybe it gets greenlit again later if they have a better direction after these 2 big movies.
Yeah, it's also crazy because I think it's one of the producers on the show was talking about how they were going to start the writer's room this month. They were really thinking they were going to move this show forward. So definitely a bummer. Hopefully even if they do greenlight the show, in the meantime, they find other ways to bring Wonder Man back into the MCU, or keep him in the MCU with other characters, whether that's, in these team up movies, even if he just has a small part, just so that we don't kind of lose him for long periods of time like we have for some of these other characters. Because I know a lot of people really, really liked, especially, Yaya and Ben Kingsley's performances, and would like to keep them, moving forward in the MCU one way or another.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what kind of shakes out with that. I'm hoping at least the character, to your point, makes an appearance somewhere else, keep him moving. But I don't know. Now I'm nervous because
I know
they just canceled his second season, which again, timing wise, I don't know when they would have had the time to necessarily do it, that it would have made sense. But, we also aren't really, he's definitely probably not in Doomsday, and we aren't really anticipating him to be in Secret Wars. So
maybe he'll show up again in the mutant saga, considering that it was heavily implied that he is a mutant. So maybe they're just holding him until then. That's my hope, that at least there's some plan for him on the table, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the mutants, we have been getting some X-Men casting. Now, small spoiler, if you haven't seen Spider-Man, we obviously saw our first major mutant on screen. And I say major as in your X-Man. Jean Grey, played by Sadie Sink, has been confirmed, obviously, in Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you haven't seen the movie, I gave you that warning. So sorry, I just gave that warning to you 5 seconds ago. But we have more that we've been listing, and I'm so sorry. Gambit, my dog, is licking my feet, so I'm distracted right now. But T, why don't you take it away?
Yes. So we have one that is pretty much confirmed, and then we have a couple that are new names in the rumor mill. So Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. Now, this was reported by Deadline as an exclusive. So without the studio actually making a formal announcement, this is about as confirmed as you can get. So that should be really exciting. I personally have not seen anything that she's been in, but she has had roles, I don't know whether they're large or small, in Babylon and Scream 6. So if you're recognizing her name or her face, she has been in those 2 movies, as well as a bunch of others. Charles Melton. Now, this is where we get into the rumors, no confirmation territory. Charles Melton as Beast. And so you may recognize him from Beef or Riverdale, among other projects. And then Kaylee Spaney as Rogue. She was also in Beef with Charles. She's also in Alien Romulus and Priscilla. So some names who have maybe some have more recognition, I think, than others, but each of them have kind of done some really interesting projects. So it'll be cool to see, if these 2 in the rumor mill actually get confirmed, and how that plays out for them. But I think Samara Weaving, looks wise at least, looks great to me for Emma Frost.
Yeah, and to your point, I think she's the only one that pretty much has been confirmed.
Yeah.
I'm a little intrigued about the other 2. I will openly say now, I don't know, and I'm sorry, I just blinked on her name. The actress who is rumored to be playing Rogue. From my first impression, I was like, okay.
Give her the win. Give her a chance.
I know, and I'm gonna be picky, and I understand that, but I was like, oh, okay, like not maybe my direction. Same actually with Charles. I did watch Riverdale. I didn't watch all of it. I avoided that, but he's a great actor. Nothing against him. I just was kind of thrown off because I was like, okay, that's not necessarily who I was expecting to possibly be playing Beast. The rumors are floating, and we'll see if we'll get a confirmation anytime soon. But speaking of, we've had another big up and coming kind of name grace the talks with Marvel, which is Inde Navarrette, who you obviously probably know her best as Nikki from Obsession, which has pretty much taken like the internet by storm. I sadly have not gotten to actually see the whole movie yet, but now it's on Peacock, so I will be. But I have seen a lot of clips of it. It looks amazing. She does an amazing job in it from even just what I've seen. The first time her name was circled in with Marvel, it was actually to play Rogue. That was the first time her name was.
I do remember that.
Yes, and that was only a couple weeks ago. Since then, it still seems to be possibly an X-Men direction, at least from what I've been seeing, but not so much down that Rogue pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, she has said that her preference would be to play Mystique. So I actually really like that. I think, I mean, it's hard to follow in the footsteps of Rebecca Romijn and Jennifer Lawrence, who both had great performances in the role. But I think looks wise, I could really see her both, using her actual face as like the face of Mystique, but then also in the blue, whether they CGI her or whatever, or with the blue look, I think she would look really good underneath all that makeup too. So I could actually picture her in that role pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, if we already have our Sadie Sink, Jean Grey confirmed, I mean, we're kind of now able to ballpark that age group, and she definitely, while she's not far from the age group, looks a little older, I think, in my opinion, than, Sadie Sink or even some of the other players that were kind of getting rumored to be in there. So I do think with that knowledge, I don't think she'd fit in that Rogue role across from a Sadie Sink, but I do think, a Mystique role, especially knowing we're getting Rogue and kind of the story behind all of that, I think could be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly, the more and more rumors that keep coming out right now, I think D23 is going to be the release of the X-Men, at least the bulk of the X-Men cast.
I agree. Yeah, I think they held it all for D23, which selfishly, since we were on the scene of SDCC, pretty upset about that, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we really wanted some big announcements while we were there. Obviously, we're gonna take any big announcements we can get, and it's understandable partially why they're holding it for D23. On the flip side, it sucks because I think we're also used to SDCC being that big like announcement hub, and so now that that's kind of changing, it's definitely a bit of a learning curve that we're not always going to get the big news out of SDCC.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure D23 is only every other year, though. So maybe every other year we'll actually get some decent sized announcements out of Hall H. Because I think the package, like together, it was okay this year. But if they hadn't said anything about Black Panther before they'd walked into Hall H, I would have been more excited. Like, I needed that to be a package, not just here's the new T'Challa. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are joining us again next week as we take on 3 more Marvel news topics. And on the podcast side, we are still covering X-Men 97, so join us over there as well. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.